We're
Yeah, no, honestly, I
planning
want to
our.
hear. I want to hear more about this. But I can do. We can do that
We
later.
can. I mean, we're planning
Yeah.
a sale of our site and private equity and
Which one?
Yuma, and
Oh, is that right? Okay.
it's not a sale; it's a roll into a private equity. So we become a bigger group with a
Oh,
$50 million budget to expand it, so we could grow
cool.
the 50 million to 200 million by 5 years, and then flip it to like a Goldman or somebody else, and or an Ikevia who's funded by Goldman and all that
Okay.
stuff. And but yeah,
That's
Chris and I are
great.
going to Chicago election day or election week,
Ooh, there we
and
Well,
go.
we
Chris is
fly
worried.
in.
Camela la 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 la.
So check it out. Chris is actually. I'm not mocking him, right? Let me just
Oh,
explain.
I
He
think
is.
you are.
He
No, I'm
is.
Yeah,
not.
no,
I
you're
swear
going.
to
See,
God,
Whenever
Chris.
you say you're not mocking somebody, and then you do, go ahead.
I don't know how else to phrase it.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
not, or at least I'm trying not to. He's truly worried. Like maybe he won't even do the trip. And I'm
So
like,
Oh,
what are you worried
because of
about? It's
the
gonna be the Four
time.
Seasons. They're asking if we want a spa during our stay. What are you worried about?
Are
wait,
you guys gonna
wait.
do a couples massage?
Yeah,
Ha ha ha. You're coloring it not correctly.
okay, you color it how you want. I'll just drink my kombucha.
So we fly out the day of the election,
Okay.
right? So
Scary,
see if
scary,
see if Joey disagrees with me here.
scary.
Do
That's an
you
inside joke, Dan.
do
Okay,
do,
Chris, I'm listening. Sorry.
do you do you think if Trump's elected, there's any possibility of SHTF scenario?
Yeah. Yes, I do. That
Not
there's
tr-
a possibility. Yes, I would say
yes.
that.
Okay. So I think there's no possibility if Kamala's elected. Personally, I think if Trump's elected, there's a definite possibility.
Well,
So
I don't know if I would say definite possibility, but I would say there is a
that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
possibility.
There's a
What's the difference
possibility.
between a definite one and a
Now,
possibility?
that's what I would say. I don't know if that would keep me now. So you guys are saying? Did you say Detroit?
Chicago,
Chicago, just as bad.
Mm,
just Chirac.
See, see,
Mind
see,
you,
Dan,
see.
you're killing it right now, man.
it's the
Chirac.
Four Seasons. It's the Four Seasons, and they're literally asking us, "Do we want a massage while we're
So
there, like a
th-
spa?"
this is my. That's not my concern. This is my concern, Joey.
I'm not seeing
You
it
can't
here.
get
My,
home, is what you're saying.
you,
Yeah.
I
exactly.
checked yes
That's my
on that thing.
concern.
Airports.
I can't get home. That's my concern. I can get there because it's day of. Day after, well, we all may have a problem getting home.
So when do you come home? The day after the election?
No, 3 days later.
Yeah, we're
I
staying.
think, given the situation, I think I would still go. I don't think
Well,
I
I'm
would.
planning on going. I'm saying there's
Yes.
a 5% chance. I think something could happen to shut the airports down, especially in Chicago.
And there's
I
like
I actually would say I bet it's higher. My
There,
probability would be
see,
higher
I'm
than
not
5%.
out of line.
Okay, I hate to be the one that keeps going back and forth, but it would be higher than 5%. I think I would still go. Oh, I would still go. It wouldn't affect my travel plans.
No,
I
I'm
think I
intending
might
to go.
have. I might try to have like a backup plan, or at least
Ah,
consider what
Dan
happens.
laughed at me when I said
you
I'm
know.
thinking about reserving a rental car.
yeah, I thought you
Yeah,
were gonna pay.
No,
Okay,
you
I
don't
so
pay
wouldn't
until
pay
you pick it
anything.
up.
Yeah,
You don't pay
I
until you
wouldn't.
pick it
Right.
up.
Okay. I would
so you
have
think
a
this
just
turns
a
into Walking
backup.
Dead, and you have to like
No,
drive
no,
back
no.
home?
No, I would say worst case scenario, it might take you 2 or 3 days longer to get home. That's
I
what
have
I
a
would think.
book called "How to Survive a Zombie Apocalypse." Maybe I'll let Chris borrow it. Read it before the
But
trip.
yeah, no, I would spend 30 minutes, plan out, okay, how can I get to the nearest airport away from that area, and then fly out from there. I would just have that.
Oh, no.
I might spend 30 minutes
You
thinking about
know the
that. I
Four
would,
Seasons gonna be well protected.
I don't know
This is
that.
not the Motel 6.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
No,
know that.
I'm not
Have you ever
saying, yeah,
been at one?
yeah.
So they got
They
two
don't
people.
let riffraff go anywhere
Yeah,
near there.
and when a bunch of 500 people
Yeah.
with clubs and guns and knives come
Okay,
walking by, they're
where do you
leaving.
think where do you think the police protects the parts of the city with the money?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
sure.
that actually is true. Even with fires, we noticed that too. This is why
Yeah.
Orange County didn't get no homes
Did,
in Orange County burned,
wait,
but
wait,
in
wait. Have you not
Moreno Valley they
seen?
did.
Have you not seen the riots on Miracle Mile? That's where the money is.
What riots?
There's been tons of them.
Show me one. Screen share it right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you. We're gonna fact check this Tim Pool nonsense
recap
right now.
Chris's thing, I would agree that it's more than 5%. It would not change my travel plans. I would spend 30 minutes figuring out the next airport where I could drive to fly out of. I wouldn't be concerned that my hotel would be, taken over. I would just be concerned it might take me a couple extra days to get home because maybe airports or protests or something,
A few extra days at the Four Seasons.
Yeah,
on
so that's true.
On them, because you couldn't get out.
Okay.
Well, all right. I'm screen sharing.
That sounds great. Oh, so Chris is on it.
Wait, I don't see it. You have to hit present.
It's the button that says present.
Thank you, Joey.
Show me, and let's see. Let's uncover the truth here. We are the community notes here.
Let's see. All right, you can see this, right?
Wait, are you playing a video?
Yeah, it's 1 minute.
Okay. So, well, again,
can you hear it?
What's the media is in the business of spreading
this morning
fear.
out of Chicago. Hundreds of people looting stores, smashing windows, and clashing with police down Michigan Avenue. Alex Perez is there with all the latest. Good morning, Alex.
Hey, good morning, Amy. It's been a long night of clashes between looters and police officers on one of Chicago's most famous.
So,
is that bad?
Like, you realize how big Chicago is, right?
Yeah.
Sure, this is Miracle Mile, though.
Have you ever seen when the Lakers win a championship what they do to downtown LA?
Okay, sure. But, Dan, this is not one time. This is numerous times this has happened.
Numerous. And I'm not familiar with this part. There's going to be looting in any big city.
Yeah, again, Dan. Of course, but not breaking into stores right in front of police officers.
With LA and the Lakers
jumping on the
police officers. Downtown LA, do they?
No, they did. Yeah,
they do. Okay.
Okay, but this is a different scenario, right? In which this has happened repeatedly, where they're breaking into these upper scale stores right in front of the police, and the police are not stopping them.
Right. Stores, but nobody was really harmed. They're stealing stuff. Sure. They're not breaking into the Four Seasons and pillaging people.
So if they're not stopping them from breaking into Louis Vuitton, why would they stop from breaking into Four Seasons?
Precisely because that's where they are at.
Yeah, see, I disagree, but okay.
You know how bad that would be for the city if you're not safe visiting there and staying in the high-end places? Like, yeah, let them have the stuff from the stores.
Breaking into all these different stores is not good for.
But keep playing it. Let's see. Keep playing it. Let's see if there's like hotels and stuff. And
well, no, they're just throwing the mile.
Closed businesses, right? There, no one's there, so it's a easy target to loot.
Where in the hell's the video? Oh, here we go.
Shopping districts, authorities here calling it simply unacceptable. Now, this all began at about midnight. Authorities say large groups of looters targeted high-end stores and businesses on Michigan Avenue, also known as the Magnificent Mile, as well as other areas nearby, shattering windows, stealing merchandise, even filling cars with stolen goods. Now, authorities believe the looting may have been linked to a police-involved shooting.
So, stealing goods. This happens every day in San Francisco. This happens every day. Like, these are stealing goods.
Yeah, I agree.
In a huge city.
Sure.
Like
happens in all leftist communities. They've given up control on controlling.
It's true.
I wouldn't walk down that street during that time. This is going on, but I'll probably continue my spa.
Well, again, I think you're missing my point, and I don't think you're considering the eventualities.
But when you have the sensationalism.
Wait. No, I'm not. What I'm telling you is it's a possibility when you have a plethora of people, and if they decide they want to go inside Four Seasons, you're not stopping them.
Okay. Sure. There's more than 2 cops there.
A dozen cops. They're not stopping them with 100.
Sure, they will.
No, they won't. I can show you videos of 100 cops
with the SWAT team and everything. Okay, I'll take my chances. Did they close the airport this day? Did anyone not able to flee Chicago that night?
Not that I know of. But
a few people got some chains and some rollies.
But that's not the scenario that I'm referring to and that Joey's referring to. I'm not saying, Dan, that it's going to happen. What I'm saying is it is a possibility.
Right. So you're presenting Exhibit A, and you're saying, Dan, here's Exhibit A. It happened. Now imagine this 10x, Dan.
Exactly.
And imagine that what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Sure.
I mean, you can see what happened. You don't even have to imagine it. Go back to the Summer of Love. I mean, they're burning buildings down, killing people. They killed 32 people during the Summer of Love, right? Over those riots. So it was somewhere in like $30 billion in damage. So you know what can happen. And the cops did nothing on that. All the SWAT teams in the world did nothing because they couldn't.
Yeah.
There was that or start killing people, right? So it was either give way or start killing people. And they chose the latter, give way. Let them do what they want.
Yeah. I mean,
they took over Seattle.
All you could, what you guys should do, if you're concerned with it, you just join them.
Right,
down
can't
the
beat them,
street.
join
Yeah,
them.
Exactly. Just no, we're with you guys.
Yeah,
throw some pebbles at the.
Well, keep pushing play. Keep pushing play. Let's see. This is entertaining.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
There we go.
Earlier Sunday, where authorities say they shot and injured a man who fired at police. Now, authorities finally getting a handle on the situation somewhere about 4 a.m. Police is shutting down nearby highways. More than 100 looters arrested. Authorities say heavy police presence will be downtown until further notice. Robin?
Right. Pause.
All right.
Chris,
thank you so much.
Chris, Joey, you don't think they'll have anticipation of this beforehand? It's election week.
Yeah, and I would say that I bet it would be a little bit worse than what we just saw there.
Sure.
I think that but I don't think airports would be shut down. I wouldn't. Yeah, it may.
No, you
just
don't
be,
think
it
the
might
city
be difficult getting to the airport.
Anticipating this, and perhaps even National Guard already there.
Yeah. No, I do. Again, it would not change my travel plans by.
I'm not saying Chicago's safe, but
no, it's not. Yeah.
Where we're at, it's probably the safest place to be in the city.
In the city, yeah. Well, and if you were, you just would stay in the hotel longer. I think that would just be kind of,
And they were saying that was like
leave.
1 a.m., 2 a.m., 4 a.m. What normal people are outside at that time?
Right, and then you could even hire a private driver. Maybe if you didn't want to roll your dice with Uber, you hire a private driver. Couple $100, take you to the airport, come right in front of the hotel.
This is not like a part 5 of The Purge or something. Like we're gonna be
not
okay.
Yet.
Well,
you'll be okay. Yeah. Well, that's the great thing about being in a nice restaurant, a nice hotel. Is like there's gonna be food there. You probably don't really need to leave once you're done with the meetings during the day, right? So it'll be fine.
So I'm certainly not saying it'll be anything like this, but have you seen the movie Hotel Rwanda?
Yeah. I have.
So it's what it is, Joey. It's a movie about a very upscale restaurant, hotel, like the top hotel. And there's been a couple movies about this. The one in India as well, where these top hotels, 5-star hotels in an area, are overtaken by criminals.
Right, which has yet to ever happen in the U.S.
Doesn't mean it can't, though. I'm saying I'm not saying this will
possible. Anything, an asteroid could hit Earth too.
But I mean, did you see that movie with India as well? That one was really interesting.
Yeah. No, Chris,
well,
I hear you, man. But at some point, we gotta just. I guess everyone has their own degree of what they're comfortable with, but have you been around many big cities like during events? Like it's chaos.
Oh yeah,
it's
absolutely.
You do make a good point. Yeah,
and
there
most of the time it's all sensationalized. Like I know people probably in Chicago during that riot Chris just showed where they're like, I wasn't even aware of it till I saw the news. Like it's contained to like a certain area and they block it off and only people that shouldn't be there are there. Not okay, but maybe airports get shut down and we get stuck. Yeah.
Maybe I'll come fly out there with you guys when you get stuck, and be stuck in the Four Seasons with you.
Yeah, I mean, shit, man. There's worse places to be.
Again, I don't think it's a likelihood. I'm just saying I think it's a possibility.
Yeah. But that's exciting. Okay,
it'll definitely be lit.
It sounds. It sounds like this would. The advantage to you guys is you get to partner with a bigger network of clinical research sites.
No, we would become that.
Oh,
we're like the formation. Yeah, we're like the formation, the head of the network.
And we would acquire or grow ourselves.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I made it very specific. We are not an add-on. We are the platform.
Got it. Now, is the people you would partner with, have they already scooped up other sites together?
No.
So you guys are starting this together.
Yeah.
The head of the snake.
The head of the snake.
I like that.
Now, why would you partner with these guys versus just do this without them?
$50 million.
We don't have $50 million to invest.
But this other company does.
Yeah, they're private equity.
They're worth billions.
Oh, I see.
They have billions.
That's what they
do. Billions.
The guy owns the Suns.
So I see. So they want to get in this industry and use you guys as the spearhead to go around. Okay, cool.
It's interesting thing. I mean, it's interesting times right now, and most industries are getting like rolled up into private equity. But it got us on this political track with Chris, and I was like, this is great for the pod, man. Like these disaster scenarios, just the cool thing about them is anything's possible. Like, and then dopamine levels get triggered, and
so Dan, you have a new ranking. I don't know if I should say this. I don't think it matters. It goes Joe, Jaime, Joey, me.
Nice.
No, you then Joey. Joey's not as.
He said more than 5%.
That's funny.
Of a riot somewhere in Chicago, that's more than 5% any night.
No, he said more than a 5% chance of this being very serious. Did you not? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
More than 5% chance that this would be like something that you guys would be inconvenienced by. Yes, I stand by that. Yeah,
where we couldn't get out of Chicago.
Then he's worse.
Where you wouldn't want to.
Right.
Yeah, or you just want to, you wouldn't want to walk around the street finding
you almost don't want to do that regardless of election.
Or we might be stuck. The airport could be shut down. More than 5% chance.
Okay, yeah. More than 5% that either airport shut down or you couldn't. I think my thing is you couldn't.
I'm
get
40 something. I could count on 2 fingers how many days I remember airports shut down. 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And
speaking
COVID.
of 2 fingers,
that's what she said.
Well, there's for natural events, but that's not what we're counting.
Right.
It's
more for like
tornadoes.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think happens then? And before we get into real estate and rates, and more fear porn. Well, the melt up is a good one.
2 fingers.
The melt up is a good one because it's fear, but it's also like, but if you're a homeowner, you get double. You get to be afraid, but also your prices go up, so you're good. Doubly fun to watch. You want to click and subscribe on that guy's video.
Well,
I actually did subscribe though.
Oh yeah, dude. Chris, I'm glad you found him because
that's a good channel.
No, he's very neutral. He's very neutral.
Seriously, he is, and he's a CPA tax guy. He does taxes. Now he might not do that much more anymore because it sounds like he's 2 million subscribers. I think I followed him when he was like a couple 100,000. So
I started following him when he had like in the tens of thousands.
Oh, okay. So you were before me, and I like he's very CPA. He's very like he's very like calculated.
Yeah, he's very neutral, and he doesn't really get.
He got sponsored by QuickBooks at one point.
Oh, I'm sure. I bet they paid, but But okay. So what I was gonna say is before we go to real estate is
what do you think happens?
What happened when Trump won in 2016? Was there major riots? There was major riots.
Day of in DC, and I think it'll be much worse now because
what did they do in DC?
The same thing like what you were seeing in Chicago on that video. They were destroying property and breaking windows and fighting with cops.
Yeah,
looting stores and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just tough. It's like, it affects the freaking local small business stores.
But,
you know? Like,
but at that point,
you guys have had enough.
At that point, he hadn't been projected as Hitler. And there'll be no more democracy. There'll be no more democracy if he's elected, and he's Hitler too, right? Now they've cast him in that light. That's why there's been 2 attempts on his life, obviously.
Seriously, yeah.
3 supposedly, and I just think it'll be worse this time. If last time just being says mean things kind of elected president caused riots, I just think it'll be worse. I just don't know how much worse is my whole point.
Yeah. I would say that. Yeah, if when he wins, likely worse. I don't know, doubly worse or whatever. But yeah, I would still go. I mean, this sounds like a huge opportunity with.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. This private equity. That's fantastic.
But you guys both think he wins?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
It's a coin toss in my mind.
Nah, you gotta pick one, Chris. Come on.
Yeah, that's right. Make a decision.
Make a decision.
Obviously, so I'm rooting for him to win. I hope he wins. I pray he wins.
Clear. That much is clear.
But like I said in our bet, Dan and I have a bet on whether he wins. And I took.
Tell him the bet.
Tell me, I might want in on this.
Let's have the commenters and Joey get in on this.
So I took the Kamala wins because I'm betting on the establishment.
Okay.
There's just no way.
That's not what we bet, though. We bet that Trump will get killed or something.
No. We bet that he won't be president.
Okay.
That's all we bet.
Okay.
So wait, but what's on the line?
He better
or is
win.
Nothing on the line.
No, we bet a hat.
A hat.
$70 bucks. Basically $70. $70.
Oh, you guys are high rollers.
High rollers, man.
Spooky.
That's what we bet now.
I got 50 of them.
We used to have bigger bets, but we don't do that anymore. It's just hats.
Yeah.
More friendly.
I have to stop betting because I keep losing. Gosh. I won a big one a year ago, but I've more than made up for the
lost
losses
it back.
There.
Huh?
Yeah, I've lost it more back.
So
I keep
in this vein. Before we get to real estate with the melt up, which I love, like doubly. What do you think the role of why do you think the country is so divided these days? And have you ever steelmanned the other side's argument? Not being dismissive and saying dumb libtards and stuff like that. Like, have you actually thought about some of the more reasonable ones issues?
Yes. Yeah, I'll go first. Yeah, I mean, I think that both sides, we have generally the same goal. And here, I know Chris might disagree with this, but hear me out.
Oh yeah, he's getting ready.
I know, I can see it. Yeah.
No, I'm listening. I have no disagreement. Yeah. I have no disagreement.
Okay. I think yet. Our goal, our end result are very similar. We want we want to help people. It'll be easier if I just focus on that. So we want to help people. Both left and right have that in common, but we have dramatically different ways of how we go about and do that. Helping people, I think on the left is more like regulating and taking from somebody else that might have more stuff and giving it to somebody that doesn't have stuff and forcing the hand. And then maybe on the right side, it would be more creating more opportunities and more jobs and more opportunities to get out of that issue or out of that situation, and not necessarily hand it to you, but making sure that you have an opportunity and maybe some support, through church and stuff like that. So I had seen like some of the opposite sides is that's what they would like to do, and I just disagree with taking from somebody else that has more and giving it to just giving it to somebody else, right? Like on the right
combat
side,
basically it boils down to like how do you combat wealth inequality, which is affecting both sides.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely is. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, not all Republicans are rich people.
No,
Like I think
majority.
correct. Exactly.
Yeah.
The large majority are not like that. So it would just be, incorrect to
So it's
assume
their
that.
way of saying this is how we
Well,
combat inequality.
wait. I want
And
to
then
stop right
both
there. I just want to
sides,
add something.
real quick, and then both sides, unfortunately, and then I'll stop at this, and I want to hear Chris. Both sides demonize the other side for how they go about it, and they they make it very political and like, oh, they're mean, they hate people, they're evil, and they just before we used to be able to respect the other, like in the 90s, like growing up when I was a young kid, you know, it was, we were kind of able to respect the other side, maybe not talk about it too much, but we didn't, I felt like there wasn't as much hate. So both
Yeah.
sides right now were going against, like, attacking the person as a person, that they're an evil, bad person. And so it's
Yeah.
like, how are you supposed to have any sort of common ground when it's like that? Okay, Chris, you're up.
Well, I don't disagree with anything Joey said. I would just like to add a little color to something he said. It's
No, that's racist.
completely, yeah, right. It's completely flipped. It is now the Democrats control 70% of the wealth. So
Right.
those who support Democrats are 70% of the wealth of the country. It's now
Because
30%.
of the
So those are the rich white people.
institutionalization. It's because of the institutionalization of the
Yep.
corporations, basically.
Yep.
Right?
That's exactly what it is. And it used to be the
Yeah, I
flip of
agree.
that. It used to be the flip of that. The Republicans
Right.
used to be the
Right.
preferred group by the corporations.
Right.
And I think that plays me personally, because I really don't, I completely agree with what Joey said. I just think there's additional information. Like, for example, they flip because I honestly think they intend to be the power, right? The corporations, not the governments.
They are.
The
Yeah.
corporations. But the way that they do that is through government, right? And who do they see that's willing to work in their favor and promote regulation that benefits them? The Democrats. So they employ.
But people like Nikki Haley and
Yeah, she's not
others like her.
She's more a Democrat. Yeah, just like the Cheneys switched from Republican to Democrat. They're endorsing Kamala. Right?
She's just wearing that shirt right now.
These people are establishment.
But she is Republican.
Yeah, she's establishment, though. She's not Republican. She's what's called a rhino. Republican in name only.
Right. Just like Tulsi is a Democrat in name only.
Correct. Well, she's no longer Democrat. She's independent. Same with RFK.
Right.
And RFK is going around preaching that the parties have flipped. I don't necessarily agree with that because
he said the parties flip. I had this conversation with you actually because I'm reading. I think everyone should read this book, The Autobiography of Ulysses S. Grant, Personal Memoirs.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get it.
I spent like 4 hours one night just this dude was like, he was a really bad business person, but a really charismatic guy. And at the end of his career, he was broke, right? And he basically like invested in his equivalent of Bernie Madoff, some guy running a Ponzi scheme, lost all his money. Dang. And then he was a good writer. Mark Twain actually convinced him to write this book. It's all his personal memoirs, so it's like autobiography of his like lessons on the Civil War. And they sold it. It was a bestseller going door to door. Back then there was no like Sears catalog or anything. It was door to door selling this book. And everything, like, he was technically a Republican back then, right? But there's that whole argument, and that's when I texted Chris. What wasn't the party of Lincoln and Ulysses S. Grant was the Republicans, right? But they were pro-government back then, which sounds exactly like what the Democrats are, pro-government.
Yep.
So the argument where people say they switched does make sense from their ideals, because Ulysses S. Grant was pro-government, but back then the rebels were the Southerners, the Confederates, right? So they were anti-government. The Union was pro-government, and Ulysses' name party was Republican with Lincoln, but many argue Lincoln and Ulysses were actually Democrats, but the name was Republican back then.
Don't disagree. I don't disagree. Where I think they've kept their colors, what they believe in, is more, in my opinion, and I'm probably going to piss some people off here, but
Sorry, Joey.
I think the Democrat, no, not Joey, not you, but I think the Democrats have always been and still are to this day, like I said in my text, the party of immorality. I don't think that's ever changed. They're the party of immorality.
Right.
I don't. It's true. The Republicans did free the slaves.
Yes.
But the argument is they were really Democrats back then. Like those Republicans back then are today's Democrats is one of the arguments.
Sure. And on policy, yes. On morality, no. I don't think the Republicans have ever changed. I think it's always been the Democrats, the party of immorality. Segregation, enslavement, abortion, homosexuality. These are moral things.
Pause.
Yeah, taking from other,
stealing
taking from others,
stealing,
and giving it to somebody else. Yeah.
Yep, that have not earned it and done anything for it. Yeah, they're the party of immorality. Have never changed. Zero since their founding.
So the Confederates were all into that stuff? Homosexuality?
No, but they were into no one was at that time. But they were into enslavement.
Right, but were they into what was some of the other things you said?
Taxation,
giving income.
Neither side was into that. That was not tolerated then. Right? That didn't really start until the central government, who played a big role in that.
Okay.
Not central government, but central banking.
So what were the key? Okay. So then, where was the immorality back then? Just the slave owning?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a pretty big one.
Then why? How come the Confederates today are all Republican?
But see, I don't know if they are, and I have no explanation if they are.
Joey, what are they? Confederates today?
I don't know.
Don't tell me they're voting Kamala.
So. But see,
what do you mean you don't know, man?
See,
come on.
When you say Confederates, I think you're making assumptions too. Like, I'm a Confederate to a degree. I believe in what 3%.
No, I mean today, if you go to the South, and you see people with those flags in their yard,
I'm going to explain it. 3% of Democrats at the time owned slaves, right? That fought in that war, the Civil War. 97% never owned a slave. They were poor.
Right.
And actually did not benefit from slavery. Why they fought the war was exactly as you pointed out, was because of the Republicans not allowing them their constitutional rights, right? Where the Constitution, and to this day it says the same thing, that the states would be allowed to leave the nation at any time.
I see. So back then, the Republicans, the party of Lincoln and Grant, were not honoring states' rights.
Correct.
Which is the opposite of what Republicans believe today.
And a lot of people fly the Confederate flag not because of slavery, but because of states' rights.
Right. But those people that fly those flags today, what party do they typically vote for?
Well, being that the Republicans are more for state rights now, yeah, that's what I would agree with that. If you see a Confederate flag.
I'm asking the tough ones, man. We learned some critical thinking.
But again, I don't think they're flying it for slavery.
Right.
Yeah.
But are they not the ancestors of the ones that fought in the Civil War? It was only 200 years ago.
Sure, probably.
So their values flipped, because they were Democrats back then. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this.
So,
because I'm truly confused. Like I'm reading this book, and I'm like, okay, Grant and Lincoln would be Democrats today.
So, like I said, I think in terms of morality, it's never flipped. But in terms of policy, there's been a number of times that they flipped. I think there's 5 times. According to RFK, it's 4 times, but I think I've heard others say it's been 5 times. Policy-wise. Not morality.
That's probably the best explanation I've heard to that, because people fight about these things.
Oh yeah.
No, they were the demo. Chris actually broke it down into morality versus state rights versus government power.
Because it's in my lifetime I've seen this happen, in which, so I've always agreed with the Democrats being immoral. I just always have, and that's why I've always generally supported.
JFK was immoral, or
to a degree, he was against, not against, but he didn't want to get mixed into the segregation argument. He's on record saying, I don't want to have anything to do with that. So you don't know really where he stood. He just didn't think it was good for his presidency to get involved in that.
Yeah, and we do know that he wasn't like a faithful husband or anything. So that speaks to morals as well. But neither was Trump, for that matter.
Sure. I'm not saying Trump's a good example.
You actually think Trump might be a Democrat?
Oh, yeah, he is.
He was.
A Democrat. He's a Clinton Democrat. Bill.
So you're voting for a Democrat, technically.
Well, I ain't voting for a communist.
I just want a good short video.
Well, exactly right. Well, I would say
what happened was
I voted Democrat twice in my life. I'll never vote again though for them ever. I guarantee that.
Guarantee? What if parties flip again?
They won't in my lifetime. Not on the moral issues.
I see. So you're saying morality, they've always been consistent. Republicans, the party of virtue and morality.
I've never agreed with the wars. I've never liked that. And the Republicans used to be the ones supporting that. That's now flipped too. I did never like that. I was like, why are we in these wars? It wastes money. It kills innocent people. It kills our own people. They make no sense.
Yeah. The forever wars.
Yeah. And
isn't that bipartisan?
Half of our budget is military. Actually more than half of the U.S. budget is military.
So would you say George Bush was morally Democrat?
Yes, in terms as of today's standards.
I don't know if I would say morally Democrat. He was just for the war. A
warmonger.
Yes. Okay, yeah. Policy. He was more.
Policy.
More in line with
I wouldn't say moral. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I plan on doing a review of this book when
you should
on this channel. Chris, man, I'm lapping you on these videos, bro. Where's your one where you lemon lawed your Corvette? That's like so old.
Yes, I gotta edit that.
Yeah,
that's what you said last time, man.
Yes, I know. I gotta get to it, doing it.
All right,
by when?
By when? We need a due date.
when I got a solid weekend to do it.
How about while you're in Detroit, since you have all the time in the hotel?
Hold on, Chris. If I didn't know any better, you're starting to sound awfully Democratic right now.
Yeah, I would be worried.
Can you keep your promises?
Good point. But I made no
Morally, you're a Democrat.
I've never promised. I've never promised to do it this week.
Dude, I love this. Yeah.
Okay.
I
missed out on law school, but I think I would have had fun.
I think you would have kicked ass. Yeah.
Melting up, guys. You guys sent me that video. We talked. What's that guy's name? The YouTuber. Shout out to him. CPA something.
Tax-free wealth or whatever.
Something like that. Like tax.
I'm pulling it up.
Did you both watch that video?
Clear.
I didn't watch all 10 minutes, but I watched the beginning.
No, actually, I did. Clear value tax.
I watch every one of his videos entirely that he makes. I think he's.
What is his name?
Well worth it. Very neutral. I like the neutral.
Well,
aspect.
for those
here
who
he
didn't...
is. It's clear. This is the homeboy.
Thank you.
Come on.
What's the gist of that video so that we can kind of discuss the finer nuances?
Sure.
Maybe double click on some stuff.
Basically, it's that it may not happen immediately, but you will have a melt up.
Up.
Yeah.
Yes. Because
either way.
Because of inflation.
And what that ties into, this is what I love about these things. Melt up. What did we just talk about the last segment? Wealth inequality. Wealth inequality.
Oh, it's going to get much worse. And he even says that in the video.
Make it worse. Yeah. So all these issues might get worse, might get more divided, not better.
Yeah.
Regardless of party, right?
For certain.
Because Trump has a plan to reduce wealth inequality. Like
he said in the video.
If you stop immigration with our birth rates.
I would think Trump would have a better plan with wealth inequality. Will it be fixed? No, I don't think it's going to be fixed. But I mean, Kamala doesn't even know. Pamela doesn't know. what any policy is that she's currently doing. She has
just
no
does it.
idea.
She just
doesn't even know where the
she's
southern
told.
border is. So
Yeah,
but
she's told.
I would agree Trump's not going to fix it, and he also said
No,
Trump's
he'll make
going
it
to spend
worse.
money.
Just not as worse
Trump's
as
gonna
her.
Correct. Yeah. Trump's going to spend money. They're both going to spend money. But I think one of the most helpful things, and Chris, you can go, is that he had said was the interest payments on our debt is going up. And in order to make our debt cheaper, we need interest rates to go down. Right. And so naturally, to help us out with this, the debt and the payments and this, all the our budget and everything is to make the debt cheaper. It makes the payments cheaper, or it can. And so I would think as a consumer, eventually rates should be down lower than what they are today. And so therefore, when that happens, assets go up.
Yeah, I saw your
All
video
assets.
today of
Yeah.
the September market
Yeah.
outlook for Orange County.
Yeah.
That was very good. Very nicely done.
Hey, thanks, brother. I'm trying to be that clear value tax guy. he does a great job, I have to say. For a CPA to do something like that, I'm all.
We're gonna try to get our
thumbs up.
CPA. I want to get our former CPA that just retired on. He's a staunch Democrat, morally and politically.
In all regards, yeah.
In all regards. So melting up is just gonna further drive the wedge between haves and have-nots.
Yes.
Well,
you know what I'm noticing? I just came back from Austin, Texas.
Oh, there you go.
I texted you guys. We need to look into Bastrop.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a rush. But
I didn't even
X
know that was
moving
this area. I thought that was the stock you were saying.
No, it's about 40
I
miles.
was looking it up.
No, it's about 45 minutes east of Austin.
Okay.
And it's like a sleepy farm town.
Cool.
But there's hipster stores, trendy stuff. But X is moving there. They're leaving San Francisco, going there. SpaceX is already there. Some of their offices are already there. And Elon is not far from there. And then Joe Rogan is in Austin. So that Austin, I went 4 years ago, and I just came back yesterday. That place is exploding in growth, man.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
It's still the liberal enclave, but it's within the confines of Texas, which is more or less God's country, right? Red, although it's purple, but abortion's banned. I mean, it's red state, more or less. If you had a gun to your head, you're picking red. But Bastrop is just outside of Austin. I do think it's a nice place to go look at. But the way they are building there, here's my point. The new stuff they're building, luxury apartments. What does that tell you? This gap, because a melt up only benefits the asset holders.
Yeah.
It doesn't
so people
benefit
that own
renters.
Property or own stocks or whatever. Yeah.
Assets.
Doesn't benefit renters. Renters lose.
No, they majorly lose. Yeah.
Doesn't benefit holding cash either.
But that's the trend. The trends are building. Let's build luxury, high-rise apartments. Let's build apartments on the lake. Let's build apartments in the city. Let's build apartments in this shopping plaza. Let's build everything's apartment. The homes are outside, in the countryside, but you can still buy.
Yeah.
Yep, but you can still buy, and then the very rich people have it within the city and nice views and all that. Those are what we would call the elitists.
And everyone knows at this point what the WEF said, right? And this is exactly
World
what
Economic Forum.
to.
Yeah,
this is exactly what
be happy.
This is exactly what they're referring to. If you don't own assets serious assets, probably in the next 5 years, you never will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you have help with family. I mean, I'm a realtor.
Right. There's assets there. Right?
Yeah.
Unless you have access to the assets, you're going to be priced out.
But do you think?
For sure. Yeah.
When they said that, though, because I do see the other side of how they said that, it could be interpreted that way. I think they both could be true at the same time. The way the economy is going, the way rates are forcing people, everything's getting more expensive. That's happening independently of what the WF is seeing as far as well, people just don't want to own anymore. They don't want the responsibility. So how do we take that framework into like car ownership now? Oh, well, Uber, now you can rent a car. You don't need a car. Okay, what about like food? Okay, well, nobody grows their own food anymore anyway. So you're basically renting your food as is. All your services, you don't own movies. You stream them. You don't own music. I could see the argument, but the framework could still apply to things they didn't really intend. And I'm not sure if the WEF intended that to be actually happen, or if that's just what they're predicting, because they're a group that studies how the economy goes. Some people say they try to shape it, but I don't understand why people don't read that or see that and start thinking, let me do the opposite then. Let me own something.
Because we're in a consumer-based society, you're thinking like a business owner, like all of us are, right? That's
or
how
contrarian. At least there's something different than the status quo.
Yeah, but there's going to be the sheep and the wolves. There's 99 sheep and one wolf. And so the 99 is just going to do what the herd is doing, and
for comfort, they're doing it for comfort.
Yeah, and everybody else is doing that.
So do they value comfort more than security?
Hell yeah.
Or comfort more than freedom?
So
no, security. I think it's that first
security.
One. Yeah.
You don't.
It's not. It's a huge sacrifice to go the contrarian way. Sacrifice financially, and then it's it's a little bit more concrete, versus renting. I can just do whatever the heck I want to do, and you have this whole culture that says, even look at Grant Cardone. This, just rent. Now
he lost a lot of brownie points with you, huh?
He did. Now I do like him,
Uncle G.
But Uncle G lost some brownie points, man. He's older. In his day and age, it was way cheaper. Now, actually, it's a little bit like that today. It was way cheaper to rent versus to buy. Like the monthly payments were like renting was way down here, and owning a home was way up here. Now with interest rates going up the last 2.5 years, it actually has made it a little bit closer to how he grew up. But when rates go down, and then hopefully next year to a reasonable rate, it's not going to be polar opposite in the payment, And so I just think that it's easier. People like to have the luxury of just to bounce around, just like people have the luxury, to get a new car every 2 or 3 years. But technically, if Dave Ramsey would say it, like the most wise financial decision would be to own it for like 10 years or so often, and then to buy it, own it, and then so I just think that just because it is the best decision doesn't necessarily it doesn't attract people to do that.
Chris, so Joey and I are millennials. We've been through, ever since my entire adult life, probably started with 9/11. It's been chaos. Just that's the norm. It has never really been stable. It's been 9/11. It's been Great Recession.
2008. Yeah.
Yep. Then it's been COVID.
You forgot .com, but yeah.
.com. Yeah. I was still in high school, but basically, yeah. Like it's been so. Our generation and the ones younger, like Gen Z.
Yeah, you're right, man.
Maybe they see that and they're like, well, why would I commit to a mortgage when I don't even know? Like, look how we opened this thing. We're not sure if we should even go to Chicago. How can you like plan in this kind of environment? Like where this is an actual debate. Like it's not a joke, right? And so maybe that's the generational sentiment now and why people don't own.
So there's been polls on this, and again, polls take them for what they're worth, I guess. But most young people say they want to own their own home someday. Most younger, millennials included, and younger, want to own their own home. Now, see, I think it's much more nefarious than what you two are discussing. I think it's all intentional. Why do they not teach investing in high school? High school's you're supposed to be able to.
But that's explaining The Grinch of Giants by Buckminster Fuller. The
but
Rockefellers created the school system.
Yeah, to be employees, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Robert Kiyosaki talks about that too. But no, Chris,
Well,
keep going. This is, dude, I'm right there with
I
you.
mean, that all started with one of the original, like, they'd be billionaires today. I can't remember
Vanderbilt and Rockefeller.
I don't think Rockefeller. I think it was him.
Yeah.
He went to Europe, saw how they taught in Prussia or something like that, and said, "Okay, we got to make some changes to that." But that's perfect, almost, right?
They wanted factory workers. They wanted to turn out factory workers.
Exactly. So they don't want you growing if you're not going to go to college, and they really don't teach you that there either. How to invest, how to watch over your money. You're not taught this. If you're not taught,
sad.
If you're not
but then
taught
why
by
are
your family,
YouTube channels like Homeboys that we're giving shout out to blowing up? It's because some people are self-educating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I think people are now, especially because of COVID, are realizing, hey, maybe I should kind of challenge some of the status quo. I mean, even like I've talked to you guys about.
I have too.
Vaccines and stuff like that. Like, dude, like, or like what the doctor says, or like, growing up, not learning at all about how to, manage a debit or credit card, or before a checkbook or paying a credit card, but you're learning how to, pick your gender or put on a condom. Like, what?
Well,
really, you guys? Like,
and in terms of finances, think about
pretty important.
Right. Think about what culture.
What size banana are you guys using?
What does culture teach young people right now? Be impatient. You can have it now, right?
And that's a renter. That's a renter's mentality.
Spend your money. Spend your money. Spend your money. Don't invest it. Don't save it.
Consumerism.
I wouldn't agree with saving.
Be dependent
but invest. Right. Have it now. Have
100% dependent on the government.
Consumerism. I mean, our biggest export is consumerism. That's our biggest export of the country.
And that's detrimental to you if you want to ever attain wealth, in my opinion.
Right.
No,
that's why it's just as
completely
important
agree.
to learn frameworks, right?
Yes.
And how to think.
Well, I'm so happy with like YouTube and courses and like trainings and stuff, because it's like now, like, I mean, growing up, I didn't grow up in a super wealthy family. It was more like, average blue collar middle class, like working very hard for, and when you grow up in that, like, sometimes it can almost seem like unachievable to like kind of get out of that, because you haven't either been around it, you haven't experienced it, you haven't had conversations like this before. But that's why I absolutely love about everything I just said: YouTube, the training courses, online stuff, because you can learn that. And I think that clear value tax stuff, like, what he's saying isn't like rocket science, but it's like, it's very helpful for somebody almost at any level to especially at the starting out and, into the next step, to hear just very basic stuff on finances and, and just his opinion on the market, But yeah, that's what I'm happy, especially with like Joe Rogan and, stuff like that. It's helpful to just get other sources of like content versus just like the main media, or versus just like, the government or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And maybe that'll be the shift that needs to happen, is if nature teaches us anything, it's that nothing stays the same. Right. And what did Seneca say? No man steps in the same river twice. Like, that river's been flowing. Like, you can step in it tomorrow. It's not the same river.
But there's a huge wall in the way, Dan, for things to change, and that's the debt. The debt of the country is a big problem.
I mean, but humanity's overcome way worse things than that.
Like what?
Nature goes on. Like everything. Like plagues. Like the Stone Age, the asteroids that sent everyone back to the Stone Age.
Sure. Well, there's financial, and then there's life or death.
Right.
Sure, but like let's take World War II. I don't think we'll ever see a war of that scale.
Got it.
Well, who was it? Jaime likes to quote, which is entirely true.
Jaime's in the biblical prophecy. Yeah.
I have no idea the weapons of World War III, but I guarantee you the weapons of World War IV.
It's sticks and stones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dang.
So in that context, this wall of debt, do you don't think tech can put a dent into this? Do you see have you guys played with ChatGPT 1.0?
I don't think so.
I don't know what that means, but
it thinks. Like it's not just Googling things anymore. That was like a parlor trick. This will replace jobs until we learn how to build new jobs to supervise this. This thinks. So it will take a complex task, like let's say private equity. How do you evaluate this company? You put in some details. It will show you how long it's thinking, and then afterwards it gives you the answer, and it comes up thinking for 77 seconds. This was my thought pattern. They're reverse engineering how people that do those jobs would think and predictively coming up with the answer. So you're putting in your objective, and then it reverse engineers it through a task. Yeah. So what we're seeing with ChatGPT now, write an article for me in this voice. That's parlor trick stuff. What's coming next, which is already out, is agency changing. Like people are gonna be replaced because of this, but the efficiencies are gonna grow to where those companies will be able to do more with less.
Oh,
but
for
then
sure.
I think we're gonna have another startup culture revolution with like
100%.
a bunch of startups, and small businesses are the true engine of this country. So,
well, it's exactly what internet did. You know, I feel like I do think that AI is 10x more, revolutionary than the internet, but the internet is very revolutionary, and so many more jobs were created and industries were created because of it. I would like to think the same thing would happen with all this AI stuff, but going back to as far as what's going to happen and what why don't people see the upside and just make that decision? I mean, if anything, I feel like that should just give the slayers like us more confidence to keep doing what we're doing, and maybe even to push it some more, because if and I do think the whole, even without this whole melting up in a normal market, the system is created to go up, the stock market and home values. If it wasn't over hundreds of years, absolutely nobody would put money in the 401k or the stock market or to buy a home. If there was zero incentive to do that, and I'm talking in the last 200 years, if there was zero incentive to do that, no one would own a home. No one would have a 401k or be invested in the stock market. But because there is going to be and always will be an incentive and for it to go up, we're going to win long term. Is it going to go up every 30 days or 6 months, guaranteed every time? No, it is going to go like this, but it's going to go up. So why? And I'm betting on it's going to go up like it's never have before over the next 30 years. Given what we've just been talking about, the richer are going to get much more richer, and the poor are unfortunately going to be more poorer. And so let's own assets, baby.
Well, yeah, I agree. 100%. But I do think when Chris brought up the debt, there's no denying that's like maybe even insurmountable. But
I definitely agree.
think we're not factoring in the tech advancements that will make it to where we can at least keep up with it at the same pace we have been, even though it's accelerating. I think the advancements of technology are going to be accelerating there as well.
Yeah.
Well, so it depends on how you look at it. And honestly, I think it's to the point I don't even know how to look at the debt because it's growing exponentially, right?
It is.
But tech advancements too.
Okay, but in what way does that increase tax revenue?
It creates value that wasn't there before.
Value doesn't matter. Tax revenue. Well, how does it create tax revenue?
Well, value is ultimately translated into dollars, so it increases GDP.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you're furthering the economy in creating more opportunity for people to buy goods and services, that further.
No, but does it? Are you sure? Because technology is deflationary.
If there were no companies selling anything, what would happen?
wait, if we're truly creating AGI, which I don't know if that's the case or not, Dan's saying it is, we're at that point. I don't believe we are, but I definitely could be wrong. So AGI is technology that truly thinks for itself, does not need human beings. So you're not creating jobs. You don't need human beings, right? So there is no revenue necessarily being created.
No. We're saying that there are going to be other, well, how about this? I'm saying there's going to be other jobs created because of AI being around.
Yeah, that we don't know of yet.
Just like the internet.
Yep.
Think of how many tens of millions of jobs have been created because of the internet based in the 90s that were never here before.
Certainly.
Correct.
Certainly.
Right.
Certainly.
So that's what I'm saying. There's going to be, yes, the internet took a lot of jobs away. I would even give and the effect that AI would probably take more jobs away, but I think there will be more opportunity in different type of jobs, either managing AI or whatever it is that we don't currently have.
So I guess I'm not positioning my question correctly. I don't disagree with anything you said. What I'm saying to you is if you're creating a system that is essentially a smarter human being outside of physical labor, what do you need in terms, what job creation is AGI doing when it's doing all the thinking? You don't need anybody to think. It's smarter, faster, and better, right? So you're not creating any manpower requiring thought. Okay.
Not yet.
But so give me an example.
You will need, well, the example is not here yet. You know, people are going to become billionaires.
But again,
right.
What I'm telling you is if you're creating a system, something that is better than humans at thinking and producing, you're not.
I think it will attract enterprise value.
Outside of labor, you're not going to need anybody.
It's going to attract enterprise
I don't necessarily
value.
think that. I mean, computers are already smarter than.
No, but they're not.
They are.
No, they're not.
They are.
Really. I completely disagree.
They're getting to PhD level. So can I share?
My calculator can do math 10 times better than you can, Chris.
But you're missing the point, Joey. It doesn't think, right? Once you create something that
it is when I plug something in, but
no,
eventually it's going to think.
Look at this. It thinks now.
I understand that.
Right. That's what
I understand that. Once you're there and it can think on its own and create on its own, what do you need human beings for?
We will discover it. But look, I just wrote a little thing. My company
Expedia said this before too. You know, the whole,
there will always be tasks because there's going to be the economy now.
Yes.
What you used to need like 10 developers for, you're going to need like 1 or 2 to manage.
Why do you need any?
You're going to need 1 or 2 to manage the system.
Exactly. Yeah, just
because even if it's 98% correct, the 2% that are not could be catastrophic. So you're going to need.
Yeah.
But look, it's thinking now. My company will be acquired.
Pilot, when you fly a plane,
that's
almost 100% computer flying that plane. But you still have 2 pilots there operating and managing it.
Yeah.
And I don't think in the next, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, they're going to take away pilots. Drones for the military, when they fly, it's almost all, they don't need a human, but there are many humans managing it and operating it and all of that kind of stuff.
Still think you're both missing the point. I don't think so. Yeah, I think you are. Once you reach true AGI, you do not need humans to think anymore. Period.
Well, says who?
Okay, do you know? So what you have now, at least as far as I know, is not AGI.
Not yet. No, it's not AGI yet. No.
Once it reaches AGI, you do not need humans to think because they're asking the questions and answering them.
Well, then who's creating?
Nobody. It's not needed. AGI creates for itself. That's the point.
Will humans still be able to? Because I think there will be a market for human creativity.
Sure. Okay. That I don't disagree with, but that doesn't change. There's not more jobs for creativity. I'm speaking specifically for thought, right?
Well, humans and corporations are still a collection of stakeholders that own assets and create value and sell things in a marketplace. AI has no intention to create markets.
No, that's true.
AI will do it because you're telling it to.
Correct.
So there's going to be orchestrators of the symphony that are humans.
Don't disagree.
that need outcomes.
Don't disagree. But I don't think that creates jobs.
It creates value, not jobs. It creates value. It will create higher skilled jobs. It'll create higher skilled jobs. And then humanity has to level up.
Like we always have.
Like it always does. Yeah.
As people are being taught to be dumber.
How do you think we get to Mars? And at some point, how do we get out of our own solar system?
Sure.
It's not going to be with our Tesla today. It's going to be with this kind of shit. And that's humans.
I'm not disagreeing with anything either of you are saying, other than I just don't think we're at AGI yet.
And no, we're definitely not at AGI. No, I
don't disagree with you.
Once we're there, we're screwed.
But can I just show you 1.0 ChatGPT? Just because it's not Google. So I asked it a question.
Yeah.
I said my company will be acquired by venture capital and be given $50 million to invest in clinical research sites. Break down a strategy for creating a $300 million market cap company. So it thought for 13 seconds.
Wow.
And it tells me what it did during that thought. So it gave me the answer.
Insane.
This used to be you would need hire people to do this. The task is to create 300 million market cap with 50 million investment, clinical research sites, acquiring venture capital, laying out financial projections, navigating risk, assessing market dynamic. It thought of all this stuff, and it gave me this. Within 5 to 7 years, they did the market analysis, strategic objective, investment allocation. This is where they said to break it down.
Wow.
Right? Strategic
that's
implementation.
Fascinating.
And people say this is just a fancy Google, but it's starting to think. It's starting to think.
Dude, and this is just a normal ChatGPT?
It's their newest version. I pay for this. It's 0.1 preview.
This is the preview. How much is this?
I think I paid $20 a month.
Okay. Dude, that's pretty cool. Okay, so my normal Chat GPT doesn't do this. I have to pay.
No, that's 4.0. So the normal one is like 4.0, and then they even have the older ones. But this is the newest 0.1 preview, and then the 0.1 mini. I haven't really used it yet, but this part is like a layer built on top of Learn Language called Thought Chain. I think they call it Thought Chain, which is built on top of Learn Language models.
Got it.
And then imagine the stuff you can build on top of this. Maybe we get to AGI, but I think there's going to be like specific industry utility for these things, and we may never get to AGI, and there's probably going to be regulations preventing AGI from being allowed.
I would hope so. Honestly, I hope so.
And that's where we would become Democrat at one point, because we're going to want regulation for this, like not libertarian. Yeah. But yeah, so that's just like a little example of the new stuff it's doing.
Okay, well then we're on the same page, because I thought you were arguing we're at AGI.
No, we're not at AGI. No. We're at reasoning, though. We are at reasoning.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, there's still plenty of jobs out there for human beings.
Oh, for sure.
Once we reach AGI, that's not the case.
What is reasoning without a philosophy? Because you need a human to come up with a philosophy to dream.
Because AGI, they wouldn't be able to fully, like, if I wanted to build a house.
Yeah, I said labor. Labor.
AGI can't. They don't work with the city to get approval. They're not going to go out and talk to contractors.
But they would. AGI would at that point.
No,
and
it doesn't even have to be AGI. It could be a more advanced version of 1.0 talking to the city's version of 1.0.
Yeah,
but then humans still have to prove it, though. And imagine how much better the projects can be, and how much more how much is being wasted because humans would rather have coffee than spend an extra 10 minutes to think of some efficiency savings, which these machines won't. So I think people benefit, humanity benefits, technology is going to benefit, and human beings have to level up their skill set, or else they're going to get left behind, which is what always happens.
Well, see, I think at a certain point in time, there will be no need for humans for anything, because as robotics advance too, which they're getting really
Optimus.
They're getting really freaky. I don't know if you've seen
$TSLA.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Long.
You put AGI into a robotic system, what do you need humans for, right? I mean, there's no labor, there's no thinking. What are they going to do? If they could do better. They can't do anything better.
I think, therefore, I am.
Robots don't get tired.
I would think so, Chris. The AGI that you're talking about, to me, that would be like over 100 years away.
They're predicting 50.
I would double that for
if
sure.
it's allowed.
For sure, because you would think there are so many different industry and services and government and things that would also have to buy in and be fully, automated for all that to work. I mean, just my example of building a house and getting house, permits and plans and work with the city and then talking with the contractors and all plumber, electrician, utilities. I mean, 100 years, so yeah, if everybody is bought in and nobody is making the concrete, like, it's all robots making the concrete, making the rebar, going out cutting trees and making lumber, and all of that, driving that to and fro, okay, but I'm 50 years, I think we're 100 years, so yeah, if we get to that, then yeah, then I think we have something to worry about, but I definitely don't think that's in our lifetime.
No, I think I honestly think it's in your lifetime, Joey. Maybe not
I am
Dan's,
going to live
definitely
a long
not
time.
mine.
So if everyone has an orchestra or let's say 12 AIs that can do different tasks and verticals, and we can all create, within a marketplace, solutions for other people needing the same thing, you're going to have economies still. It's just going to be efficiency gains and improvements in what you get. That's how you get to Jupiter. That's how you get out of the solar system. You can't do it with the same tools, but the humans need to step up, and they always have. They're going to learn how to use this stuff, and the ones that don't, there's a 800-page book on this called Capital, which tells you what happens and we're seeing it happening now.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about the entertainment
I think it's going to enhance what we're doing, just like the internet has enhanced us. That's, I think in my lifetime, it's going to enhance what we're doing.
Yep.
And then humans are going to adapt and
QOL,
figure out
quality of life.
Exactly. Think of how many jobs today are based on internet. Amazon, Apple. I mean, like huge, massive at Tesla, massive. How many just the industries because of the internet, how much more efficient all of us are being. And yes, it replaced quite a bit of jobs, but yeah, I mean, I think it helped society progress forward because of the internet. And I would like to think that, this whole AI stuff, in my lifetime would be that. Now, in 100 years, maybe what you're talking about, Chris, that could be a concern. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Well, so back to the original argument. I don't think AI solves the debt crisis anyway. 0% chance.
I don't think it solves it. I think it puts a dent in it.
I don't even
because your argument is that the interest payments are being accelerated. And that is very scary if tech also doesn't accelerate at the same speed or higher, which you can argue it is.
My argument against that would be this. So as Joy just eloquently pointed out, in the last 10 years, we've had huge advancements in technology, or 20 years, right, Joey?
Yeah.
So from the last 15 years, 2009 to now, in 2009, we had 10 trillion in debt in this country. We now have almost 36 trillion.
That's right.
Okay. In 15 years. So at that exponential rate of increase, technology will have nothing to do with stopping it, slowing it, or changing it.
Sure, well, think about personalized medicine.
What happened? I can't hear you.
Think about just in our industry alone. Think about personalized medicine. You're not telling me your
Chris,
insurance
you should think
company...
about that, because that's a very democratic way to think of it. The Republican way to think of that would be creating more. Come on now. Well, no. Hear me out. No, Chris. No, because I don't think Chris is. I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying the more Republican way to think of that is, in order to get out of debt and to further an economy, you want more opportunity and more people creating jobs and creating goods and services to buy, and more exchange happens. is healthier for the overall economy. And so as you create jobs and hire people, right, and pay taxes, and there's payroll tax, and there's people move and buy houses, and all this kind of
Sorry.
Yeah, I think you're on mute. Yeah, for sure that's going to help out the debt. And this is the last thing I'll say, and I want to hear you say this. And I think you're still on mute. There's two ways to get out of debt: tax people, or create opportunity and value and to overall further the economy. So
Hey,
which
just
one are you
flip
going to
me
pick?
off.
No.
2 options. I flipped myself off.
There's number 1 and number 2.
Oh, neither of those will solve the problem. And your argument was kind of circular.
Okay, then
because the way
then
He said it's circular.
right, it was kind of circular.
That's what Chris
because,
said. That's why he was
Tell
getting
me.
there.
Because again, you use the example of how much technology has advanced in the last 10 years or 20 years or whatever the case is, and we've more than tripled the debt in that time.
Right.
So,
No,
Well,
but he's saying
technology
if
didn't
there
do
is
that.
hope, there is
That's
hope.
technology didn't do that.
Wait. The hope is not technology.
How
right?
many jobs
Wait, let me
has
finish.
technology hired people?
Okay, and then
hope-
why has
Percentage-wise.
okay, why
Come
has
on.
debt gone up almost 4 times in 10
Right.
years?
Because we've printed 60% of the money that's ever been created in the last 4 years. That's why.
And a lot of that debt goes
It
into
had nothing to
wait.
do with internet.
Okay, well, in the last 4 years, so let's go back 4 years.
60% of money that's ever been created.
So again, circular argument, because 4 years
No.
ago, what was the debt?
4 years, it was like 20 some million.
Yeah, 23
18.
million, 23 trillion. So it more than doubled in, what is that, 2009?
These are two different things. When
11
government
years.
chooses to print money, right? I don't see how that's that's industry.
So that's the
being
answer
affected
to
by
your
that.
argument. The only way this ends is the government stops spending. It has nothing to do with taxes.
Oh,
Taxes
no.
go up.
You're already at 35 million, and just stop spending
Trillion.
is going to fix
Trillion.
it. Right, 35 trillion.
Yeah, it's not going to get fixed any other way.
like governments will
dang.
continue to spend.
Then it's
But-
not going to get fixed.
But the argument I think Joey's trying to make is, okay, let's say debt quadrupled, right?
Mhm.
If technological if gains that translate into GDP over the next 30 years
Mhm.
outpace the increase of debt by a factor of 10 to 1, you are making an impact on that debt in the long term because of the efficiency gains you get from the markets.
I don't
Even if
agree.
tech is a deflationary force, let's think of why it's a deflationary force. It
Mhm.
brings in competition. Let's
Sure.
remember why it becomes deflationary. Because the first two movers usually are the ones getting 300% profit margins, 400% profit margins. They sustain that for a period of years until other ones come in and say, this is really attractive. We're going to make ours better, faster, cheaper. Okay, the price of that goes down, but now you quantum leap into something new, which takes the same thing forward. So that debt, the tech gains versus the debt, outpaces it at some point. There becomes a delta that keeps it decreasing that debt amount. Now, government does have to stop. Government does have to stop printing
and spending.
Yeah, and I agree,
because
Chris.
they start spending at the same rate.
Yeah, and Chris, I completely agree. No matter how much innovation there is, we're not. If government doesn't stop spending and spending and really, honestly, I think the biggest issue is also printing money. We will. I don't think you can out-create to pay off the debt. Now, I think one of the first thing is, if we can just balance the budget and we
But
go
no one ever wants to pay off the debt. The
No, I
goal
understand,
is just to
but I
keep
think the
up with
only
the payments.
way is if government somehow magically can have the budget be at par, the only way to pay off the debt would be to out innovate and to create new
Correct.
jobs, create new
Correct.
industries. There is zero chance the government is going to go in and have a surplus every year. There's no way we're going to pay off the debt by government just now reducing. We're not actually making $1 trillion a year. That will never ever happen.
And it's just a matter of maintaining the debt, not paying it off. Which, when you look at it in those terms, sounds very less scary than paying off something which even they admit is insurmountable.
Maybe. What I'm saying maybe too is the fact that eventually you're going to run out of buyers of the debt if it continues to accelerate.
I don't think so, because what becomes the new oil? Petrodollar. Now what becomes the new dollar is all this data. Data becomes the new petrodollar. Call it a data dollar.
Well, okay.
So if the U.S. leads in that front, the currency will still be in demand. It's no different than petro.
Potentially. I mean, you got all kinds of politics at play there too, like what we did to Russia, and that now they want to create their own currencies. So
sovereign individual, man.
Well, yeah, I obviously won't solve the problem. That'll create a bigger problem.
What are the chances? Do you think in our lifetime the government would ever have where the income and the expenses are par?
Yeah, it's happened previously. I don't know if that'll happen again.
Well, that's why my question. Do you think that would happen again?
I don't think it's possible. Personally,
I don't think they want to.
Right.
It's the dollar has become weaponized. Yep. And that's
exactly what I was referring to with Russia.
Right. But as long as the US leads their supremacy in what matters at the time, which is switching from oil to data, you want the US to lead in data as well, which is why I'm not anti-immigration. I think we need sensible immigration because we're not keeping up with birth rates. Our educational system sucks. And we need to import these minds from overseas. Or else that data dollar is not going to come from here. India's got a pretty good shot, especially if India joins BRICS. So we have to do everything we can to keep that in the United States.
Well, it surely wouldn't look like a great future if there's a more developed country in terms of technology and they develop a monetary system that the world trusts.
Well, if you allow it to develop organically in the U.S., you're in for a shitstorm because the people graduating from here cannot compete with the educational systems in India and China, even in Europe.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it. Look at the boards of all these tech companies. They're all Indians, Asians. The people behind the wallets are good old-fashioned white people, Americans, but I mean, it doesn't have to be.
Right.
It doesn't have to be in the future as long as we can control the global currency, which is another story all in and of itself, which I'm not even qualified to discuss. But yeah, don't worry about the debt, Chris, and don't worry about going to Chicago. Just
well, the debt's a bigger problem than Chicago.
Yeah. I'd be worried if I was staying at the Best Western. I would be.
Or Motel 6. Wait, they went out of business.
They did?
I think
we'll leave the light on.
Because all those looters.
Yeah, because of the looters. Guys, it was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure, eh?
I think we haven't had one in a while.
I don't hear it enough.
So speaking of that, before we go, so rates are at 6.2 for an average 30-year. Your guys' speculation from now till end of year, and then what best case scenario is for next year with rates?
I think they go down through 2025, but go back up starting in 26.
Okay.
I think they go down through 2025, possibly 26, and they might stay there for a while.
Okay, and then next,
and then the next change after the stabilization is rapid increase, like super high, like higher than we've seen this last time. How they jacked them up, and tech better be there to stabilize the economy.
Yeah, that's a WEF in action. Their expression, because I think that limits everyone at that point. You can't borrow money.
Now,
those who have assets can.
In the next, true, yeah. In the next 18 months, what's the lowest you think rates would go? If we're at 6.2 right now, what do you think the lowest?
No, I don't. Wow. I don't think they go that low.
Nice. Let's go, Dan. Speak it into existence. Come on.
I think like 4.5, because you have to have buyers.
That's still pretty low. That's
you have to have buyers for the debt. 3% rate would mean that basically you're getting 1% on debt if you're buying like bonds.
That's lower than I would go. So yeah, Dan and Chris, you both have. I'm thinking the lowest is like 5.25. You know, I hope it's if we're in like 4.99, dude. I mean, unfortunately, inflation is going to go crazy up, but all of our houses go up 30-40%. You know,
not to mention
all of
our Bitcoin and our stocks.
Exactly, dude. Well, if interest rates go to 4.5, I bet if Bitcoin's at 65,000, it'll be 100,000.
Yeah. Oh, easy. And it brings back the speculation to the markets, which does create jobs. That creates jobs, since Chris was talking about it.
Sure.
It may not create jobs for Americans because now everything's outsourced. And it might create jobs in the form of licensing agreements with AI software companies. But it's creating wealth for someone, which is eventually translated into GDP.
So here's the major player, at least in my mind, and certainly I'm no economist, but I believe half the debt has to be refinanced in the next 16 or 18 months, something like that. So there is going to be a very much a goal of the government to get rates down in that time.
Yes.
So they can refinance the debt into long-term rates that aren't going to bankrupt the nation. They have to. But once they're done refinancing that debt, I think in 2026 that's why I said 2026. I think the rates just explode. Me personally.
Wait, explode which direction?
Up, like worse than the 70s potentially.
Damn. Like 10-12%.
Even 70s, worse.
It got as high as 18.
No, I think it got as high as 20, didn't it?
Wow.
Oh, maybe. I remember it was like 80 something.
So you got like 5-year window to buy your assets now. For anyone watching,
I think you have 5 years left, and if not, you're priced out
to buy assets,
to buy anything of value. And a car is not an asset. I mean, like a house.
Nor is cash. And Chris, I agree with what you said.
Yeah,
dude, cash. If you had $100,000 in a bank account in 2020, by 2022 it was worth 70,000. That same 100,000. You know,
purchasing power. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. You know, so, but you also need cash to buy the assets, right? So it's like you got to figure out that game there. There's a couple ways to go about that, but okay, so that's good. So yeah, Dan, you think maybe 3%.
As low as
3, or in the threes. In the threes.
As low as 3. That's like the floor.
Okay.
My low expectation.
Yeah. And then Chris, you're saying 4.5. Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't hit 3 though. But that's just my lowest expectation.
Just for the listeners, Joey is right. The highest rate was 18.63 average.
Which is, dude, can you imagine that? That's almost 3 times higher, 2.5 times higher than what our high has been the last 2.5 years. I mean, that would be insane. You know, I don't think it's gonna do that, because actually my speculation is one of the reasons why I think rates went so far down, because see, when rates are 18%, if you look at like the home values, it justified, but then it counterbalanced. But when rates went down, you know, obviously assets have gone up over the last 40, 60 years when that has flipped. But I think of what happens when home values and asset values go up. Cities make more tax revenue,
Certainly.
Right? So it's like, if you think of it, it's like, would you rather have 18% and the house is worth 50,000, or 4.5% and the house is worth 250, 300,000? You know, it's like, it kind of helps, you know, offset. So,
and unfortunately, what do cities do when they get more tax revenue? They don't make improvements in the city. They do the bare minimum so that people don't move out. Right. They give it back to their employees and their other stakeholders in the form of compensation or wasteful spending to help out a friend or a buddy of someone who they owe a favor to. So, and government, not just city, that's on a government, all government levels. So unfortunately, you don't get that value back in which doesn't create proper infrastructure for further innovations, and it becomes a race for which cities are going to provide more for the businesses that are in those areas. And that's why you're seeing Austin as a boom town and San Francisco as losing out on all those opportunities.
Yeah.
Until it changes. And the
Right.
market changes. The market's going to make them change. Or not.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just be guessing at what happens. I have no logical answer to that.
Well,
but
you're
right.
Lose a hat. You'll lose a hat for your bet, and that's.
We'll see.
First of all,
I hope I do.
Is the hat red?
Oh hell no! I'm not wearing that.
Is it bright red?
The one Chris would probably want to buy, yeah.
No, I want a cowboy hat. Remember?
No, yeah, but we ain't buying that.
Or a
either.
cowboy hat. There we
go. No. That was the agreement.
I have to say, cowboy hats are more than $70.
Yeah,
those are like 2 times that.
Well, yes, exactly. But I have 2 bets. I have one with Robert and one with Dan. They each got a hat. My reverse was the only hat I want's a cowboy hat. That's double the price.
Oh yeah, we're going in together.
Exactly.
Sure.
So, and Robert may want a red hat.
Cowboy hat.
Well, Robert's been texting us, so we're gonna have to talk to him.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope I lose. I think there's a 30% chance I don't.
Well, this was a great pod, guys, and we'll make sure to do more.
Like and subscribe.
Subscribe, comment, share. All right, catch y'all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.